Hi Rainbow Food Explorers, welcome back. I'm Rainbow Janet and I'm so glad you're here to join me on another Rainbow Food Exploring adventure. I hope you've been looking for all those beautiful rainbow colors on your plate every time you eat. Have you been doing that? Amazing. And whenever we see those colors on our plate, what do we call our plate? Right, a rainbow plate. Let's say it again. A rainbow plate. Amazing. Do you remember the rainbow plate rhyme? Great. Let's say it together. Ready? Rainbow plate, tell me the colors that you ate. Good job. I hope you've been saying that every time you eat, and I hope you've always been looking to notice those beautiful colors on your plate. Well, we're going to get busy with another Rainbow Food Exploring adventure today. Today, we're exploring two colors of the rainbow. We're going to explore foods that are blue and foods that are purple. Let's have a look at what I found when I went looking in my house. Ready? Let's see. There we go. Well, the reason we're exploring two foods today is that it was really hard for me to find foods that were blue. So since I only found two, I thought we would add purple and do them both together. Now, before we get started, let's remember what it means to be a Rainbow Food Explorer. Do you remember? Okay, let's see. Well, being a Rainbow Food Explorer is about using all of our senses in different parts of our body to explore foods. And when we use our senses and we really take the time to explore and discover, there are so many amazing things we can find. Let's think about what all of our senses are and which parts of our bodies that we use. Okay, we usually start by using our eyes. Our eyes, we use them to look and to see all the different things we can notice about different foods. That's right. We use our hands and our fingers to feel and touch different foods. And we can notice so many interesting things about the way foods feel, their textures and their shapes and even the temperature sometimes. Good job. We can use our noses to, that's right, we can smell so many interesting smells and fragrances, and they help us to really understand more about different foods. Definitely, if we're exploring food, we can use our mouth to bite or lick or chew and certainly taste how foods taste. There are so many amazing things to discover. And a Rainbow Food Explorer can even use their ears to hear, because when we're eating foods, they make lots of different sounds that we can always notice. And even when we're just exploring, we can pat or make different sounds by exploring and doing things with the foods before we eat them. So great. So that's all the ways that we use our senses when we're being a Rainbow Food Explorer. Well, are you ready to have a look at the blue and purple foods I found? Let's go. So, when you first think about foods that are blue, the one thing that most people think of is, right, blueberries. And I found some blueberries in my freezer. It's not really a time of year when there are lots of fresh blueberries around. Usually that's in the summertime, but I always freeze blueberries because then I know I can take them out and enjoy them all year long. So these are my little tiny, dark blue blueberries. I'm using my eyes, and do you see how dark blue their color is? Do you know how they got that color? Right, from nature, because blueberries grow on bushes, sometimes very close to the ground or sometimes higher up. And when they grow on the plant, the sun and the soil and the plant puts that beautiful blue color into them. It's really amazing if you've ever watched them growing. We could spend a whole day exploring blueberries, but we're going to look at all the other foods. The only other food that I could find in my house that was blue were these candies. I don't know if you can you see them okay? So they're jelly beans, and they look like regular beans. They're the same shape, and they're little tiny blue jelly beans. Now, do they get their color the same way as the blueberries? No, they don't grow on a plant. They're usually made in a factory, and the color that they have usually comes from things that they put into the candy when they're being made in the factory. Different types of coloring. Well, those were the only foods that I could find in my house that were blue. I wonder if you go looking, if you could find any others. I just didn't have any more. So I looked and I found lots of foods that are purple, and we're going to explore those too. First of all, I found some other berries. They were also in my freezer. These are called blackberries. They're called black, but they're really very dark purple. Maybe blue, but you see how they get their name? And they're really different from the blueberries. What do you notice that's different about them? Good job. That's right, they're bigger. And they have lots of little bumps on them. And you can see, I don't know if you can notice, but there's some juice because they're kind of melting from being in the freezer as well. Have you ever tasted blackberries? They're sometimes sweet, sometimes a little bit sour. I love to eat them in the summertime when I pick them fresh also. But right now, I just found some frozen ones, and I love to put them in my yogurt. Well, other purple foods I found these beautiful purple grapes. Do you know what it's called when we see them all together like this? Right, it's called a bunch of grapes because they all hang together in a bunch. We could even call it a cluster. That's another word. Wow, I wonder how many grapes there are in this bunch if we were to take the time to count them. That could be something you could do with grapes at home. See how many you can count. I can look with my eyes and see the interesting shape that this bunch of grape makes. I can feel with my fingers this little piece at the top. That's called, right, it's the stem, which is where the grapes were attached to the big vine that they grow on. And I can feel with my fingers, every little grape feels very smooth. And the shape, each one is round. I love to eat grapes. Do you? What sound do you think these grapes would make if we bit into them? I think you're right. I think they might be crunchy. That's a great thing to explore for another day. Well, I have something else that's round and purple. It is a big, whoops, it almost jumped out. It is a big purple onion. Can you see how shiny it is? It feels very smooth. And what's really amazing about the onion is that it's kind of dry on the outside. These have been stored in my pantry. And onion has so many layers. And if I take the outside one off, look, can you see that? It's really amazing. It almost looks like paper, and I can feel, can you hear that sound? It's very thin and papery, and it almost breaks. So we don't eat this part of the onion, do we? No, we peel it off, and an onion is a great food to explore using our nose, because have you ever smelt an onion when you cut it up, if you're cooking or something? What happens if you're cutting onions up? Did you ever notice? That's right, sometimes they make you cry because they have very strong smell that comes out of the onion when you cut it. And it sometimes makes your eyes tear, which is just one of those things. But I love the taste of onions. I use onions in my cooking all the time. I don't really like onions raw, but lots of people do, and they're really great to put in salads and sandwiches or on top of a burger. I wonder how you would use onions. I bet you can think of lots of ways. This is a beautiful purple onion, isn't it? I have another purple vegetable here, which is an eggplant. Can you see it? It's kind of heavy. What do you notice with your eyes about the eggplant? It's very shiny, isn't it? And it is purple, but it looks very, very dark. Sometimes it looks almost black. Now I wonder why an eggplant is called an eggplant. Does it remind you of an egg? Maybe that's how it got its name. I'm not sure. I love the way this eggplant is so smooth and so shiny. And you know what else I love about it? Look at the end. It looks like it's wearing a little green hat. I know. Whenever you get an eggplant, take a look. You know, if I hold it this way, it almost looks like a star, doesn't it? So pretty. I love to eat eggplants roasted or baked, and we love to make them into a dip. Have you ever done that? Great. It's really yummy, isn't it? There's so many things that we can do with eggplants, and we could explore them also if we cut them up. But today we're going to really explore this purple food. I'm going to move these out of the way. So, the food that I really wanted to explore with you today is this one. It's a beautiful, dark purple food. It's a vegetable, and it is called a purple cabbage. Now, I can see with my eyes what shape it is. What shape do you notice? Right, it's round, or we could say it's a sphere or a ball. That's right. And I'm feeling with my hands, my goodness, it's very heavy. It's probably the heaviest vegetable I've explored so far. And this purple cabbage is so amazing because it grows in the garden or on a farm, like so many of the vegetables we've explored. And this one is made all of the leaves of the plant. Now, I don't know if you can notice. Let's see if I can take one off. Here we go. When the cabbage grows, all of the leaves grow and they start to wrap around. Let's see if we can take one off. Here we go. There it is. Can you hear that sound when I do this? Listen. Snapping it off from the bottom where it's attached. And all the leaves start to grow from the plant, and they curl up and they wrap around and around until eventually the cabbage, like we see here, is formed by layers and layers and layers of leaves all together. So when I look at the outside of the cabbage, I can see a beautiful pattern. It looks bumpy. I can see these parts of the leaf, do you see? Where it comes all the way up. And they form this great big ball, which is amazing. But if we were to look at one leaf, this one that I've taken off, kind of broke it, but you can see how it is one big, I don't remember which way it went. It's one big leaf. And we can see the beautiful pattern that it has. And I can feel it with my fingers. It's really interesting. It's so thick that it almost feels rubbery. That's a good word to describe because it sort of bends. It's not crispy and dry like the onion skin was, but it's soft and flexible. And it's so dark purple. Well, this whole big cabbage is made because all of those beautiful leaves wrap around and around till it forms this great big ball. What's really amazing about the cabbage is what you see when you cut it open. And I have another one I want to show you. So this is another cabbage, and this is just half of it because I cut across that big round ball. And what happens when you cut up the cabbage, you see the most beautiful thing inside. Would you like to see this one? Okay, are you ready? Here we go. When you cut it open, wow. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that amazing pattern inside. And you can see how all of those leaves are wrapped around and around and around. What does it make you think of? Wow. Think of different words you could use to describe this beautiful pattern inside the cabbage. What would you say? How would it make you feel? It reminds me of water swirling, or maybe of a maze. It sometimes makes me think of a flower. It's so beautiful, isn't it? And I can notice the different colors because yes, there's lots of purple, but I also see white inside too. Can you see the white? It's like magic, like someone did artwork inside a vegetable. It's so cool. I wonder if you could even make a picture of that. Maybe you could try that and send it to me. That would be so great. Well, you can see that all the leaves, there's another one. I can take one off the outside. Listen with your ears. It snaps off. You know what I sometimes do? I sometimes take cabbage leaves and I use them to make a little bowl, and then I fill them with other food, and I call it a burrito or a taco or even a little bowl for salad. That might be a fun thing you could try at home. Let me know if you do. Well, we used our eyes, we used our fingers. I wonder how this cabbage smells. You could try this at home too. It's got an interesting smell. It's definitely not sweet. I would say it smells earthy. It makes me think of the garden. It reminds me a little bit of broccoli. And actually, did you know that purple cabbage and all cabbages are in the same family as broccoli? So that's kind of interesting that it smells that way. Well, I cut some other cabbage up. I did it before I got onto the video, and I can show you that if I pick up a little tiny piece of it, you can see the way all those different leaves come together, and we can take them all apart, almost like a, whoops, I dropped some, almost like sort of a puzzle, and we can cut up little pieces of the purple cabbage and notice all those different layers and all the shapes. And I don't know if you've ever tried it before, but let's listen here if I break one. That when you eat purple cabbage, do you know what happens? Listen. It's really crunchy. It tastes a bit like broccoli, but you know what? It tastes really sweet. I wasn't expecting that. That's the interesting thing. When you're a Rainbow Food Explorer, sometimes you try foods and you discover so many amazing things. Did you think the cabbage would be sweet? I wasn't sure. It's really yummy. I'm gonna eat some more after. I love putting purple cabbage in so many foods that I eat. I like its beautiful purple color, and I love the way it adds something crunchy and sweet to salads or sandwiches or wraps. I love to put it in stir fries. I wonder if you can think of ideas for how you could use purple cabbage. I also love it because you can buy one big cabbage, and they're usually not that expensive, and it lasts a really long time, so you can use it in so many different ways. Well, we're almost out of time, and I loved doing all this exploring. I hope I've given you some ideas for how you could explore blue and purple foods. And I hope you're gonna go now and look in your house and see what blue and purple foods you can find. Go on some Rainbow Food Exploring adventures And remember to use all of your senses and your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your fingers, and even your ears. Think of all the different words you can use to describe what you're seeing and smelling and feeling and tasting and even hearing. I would love to see what you come up with and what you discover. Get your parents to take a picture or make your own pictures or videos or rhymes. And I'd love it if you could share them with me on my social media, on Instagram or Facebook, or just have your parents email me at janet@rainbowplate.com. I've been so excited to see all the exploring that people are doing, and it makes me so happy when you send more. Well, thanks so much for coming along and joining me today, and I can't wait to see you again. We've got lots more rainbow food exploring to do. Okay, just before we go, can we say that rainbow plate rhyme again one more time? Let's do it. Ready? Rainbow plate, tell me the colors that you ate. Thanks so much. Bye. See you again soon.